Testing, testing.
Testing?
We can hear you, but the microphone's not working.
Mic test.
We did that on purpose.
I'm pretty good.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm sure mine's fine.
No.
No, I'll
Seems to be every other one.
No, this is working. It's just a wall.
Well, they were working manually.
all right. We'll go ahead with that.
Well, some are on, I think.
Yes, some of it. All right, it's now 9 a.m. We'll call the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Fort Clark Springs Association to order. Thank you all for joining us. I know it's weather's quite difficult out there, so we appreciate you all being here. It's nice to have everyone here as well. Thank you all, everyone, for finally good to be all back together. So glad to have everyone, including myself. All right, so we do have a quorum. We'll start out with a moment of silence, followed by the pledges. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We are getting better at that. Good.
Another year.
Yeah, another year or so, and we'll be in unison. All right, has everyone had the opportunity to review the board minutes from December 18th?
I have.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Robert?
The guy on the end of the guy. He's an option.
Go on to the secretary's report.
Let's see, where is it actually here? I received correspondence from the airport committee. I sent them an email explaining what we had discussed in the last meeting that the airport committee had told Mr. Peterson they were going to replace the light or the fixture and then maintenance would hang it. Their response was, thank you for the follow-up. The light fixture is still attached to the hanger. Billet gave me, Stan, the light bulb. The airport did not agree to purchase the new fixture. So a follow-up to that was yesterday. Friday afternoon, maintenance was working on the light at the hangar. Airport representatives have been talking to prospective pilots looking to relocate to the Fort Clark Springs Airport Committee 74TX. And once again, I'll ask, please sign your report so that I know who I'm talking to. We had another correspondence from Mrs. McBride, and it says, dear board members, I chaired a committee to revise the rules and regulations, and we completed the task in August 2018. I also chaired a committee to revise the rules and regulations on animal control and enforcement and completed the task in June 2021. Neither work has yet to be approved by the board. Recently, I revised and reorganized the whole document for clarity, not the content. I am pleading with you to act on the document. Fort Clark Springs is currently operating under the rules and regulations from 2006. Thanks, Helena McBride. Next one. This is from Natanya Watkinson. This is the Community Council update. Forum, rules and procedures were read. The meeting will be open only to members. Membership will be verified at the door. I'm assuming this is the candidate forum. Linda O'Brien will contact maintenance and make sure that the heating equipment will be checked on February 11th to make sure that it is operable for Saturday. It was very cold last year. I'm assuming that is the Post Theater. Community vegetable garden. Discussion allowing members to raise chickens and rabbits. Some members are already growing vegetables and giving the produce to others. The purpose would be to meet member needs, help raise good, healthy food for personal use, or give to those needy people. Regulations would have to be established as to how many animals, what type of animals, and where the site would be. It was mentioned that rabbits and chickens are beneficial to vegetable gardens as their droppings are good fertilizer. Suggested site area was the recycling center, as people do go there and it has water. Topics mentioned were about spinning wool and making clothing, learning how to can food and other ways to preserve food. A lengthy discussion followed. It was mentioned that Mr. Peterson was already aware of these suggestions. Thank you, Natanya Watkinson, outgoing president, Helena McBride, incoming president. And that's all I have for correspondence.
So just, and anyone here from community council can help update me if possible, but I believe what they're going to try to do going forward is send the comments and any issues from the community council meeting to be read by, in the secretary's correspondence, and then additionally they will still have their report among the committee reports for things that they're working on for, like, I guess right now it would be like Fort Clark days and so on, but these are specifically the member issues, that way they're read into the minutes. So.
I would like to say that Jacqueline Lewis was the driving force behind this, and I think she's coming today to say a little bit too, so.
All right, treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report for December. The motel occupancy had 700 guests for income of $46,035. Member Service Board, lot sales, transfer fees, resale certificates encompasses that, $750. The Collection Board report for December of 2021 brought in $20,516. Treasurer's report. Cash on hand, $864,385.38. Restricted fund, letter of credit, amount $152,000. Owed to preservation, $19,424.95. Monies available to Fort Clark, $253,140.52, giving the restricted fund a balance of $424,565.47. The motel revenue for 2021 is $142,897. Room count, room count was 700 and $46,714 for the month.
That's the history of the last year.
Yeah, okay, that's over here?
2020.
Okay, the history of the motel for 2020, the revenue was $77,420. The room count was 471, and the monthly income was an August rate was 24,624. So we've gone up quite a bit there. a total income for the month, $216,034. Total expenses, $221,662, for a net loss of $5,628, but we had 3 payrolls for the month. So you could add back on the average of 2 payrolls a month. I'm not gonna tell you what, well, I don't have the exact amount, but that's okay. $40,000 is an average? Okay. So we would have had a good month. We still had a good month. The year-to-date total income is $659,310. Our total expenses, year-to-date, $592,226, for an income of $67,085. $67,085. Our total assets, $1,174,529.19. Total liabilities and equity, $1,174,529.19. The accounts payable was $27,455.77. That was for the month, I presume.
That's all current. That's what we have currently.
Oh, that's part of the current? Okay, all right, fine.
And
Oh, yeah.
everything is current.
Right. Les Morris income, $9,565. Les Morris expenses, $6,386.88, for a profit of $3,178.12. That's the report.
So those numbers tie back to this document, which is back on the back table there.
Do you
So-
do balances?
I can do it, but I
Because
already
we
read it.
restricted
Oh, we
account.
did read it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
$864,385.30.
Yeah, all
We
right.
simplified it.
Yeah. So all of that was a summary, that last report is a summary of the document that's behind you on the table. So, this is a much different look to what you've seen in the past. Just to quickly go over what's behind you, you have your actual, your total versus your budget for December of '21, and then year-to-date, meaning fiscal year-to-date, with the month ending in December of 2021. So, take a look at that. If you do have questions, please email them in and we'll go from there. And thank you for putting this format together, and this will be helpful going forward as we continue to refine it. We'll move on to the general manager's report.
Explanation on the motel revenue. I put in there also compared to last year. Your revenue this year for the first 3 months is $142,897. Last year it was $77,420. We have an 85% increase in our hotel revenue so far this year. And our agreement, not a contract, with the DPS is they will be here through February next year at least. So we have a good base to work with. Your room count 700 is over 471 for last year. Monthly income is $46,714. Last year in December is $24,624. That's a 90% increase. Our average rate, which is our average daily rate, that's what everybody pays on an average throughout the month, is $66.73. Last year was $52.28, and that's one of the things that you look at. It's 27% increase over last year. The other one would be a RevPAR, which would be a revenue per available room, and I haven't gotten to the point of starting to do that yet. But that just focuses on making sure that you're running 100% as much as possible. You don't have days that you're empty and days that you're full, like on weekends. Your revenue per available room is actually the number hotel people look at. Average rate, and it's a combination of occupancy and average rate. So we've gone up on everything there. Our accounting, our internal audit, our independent audit was supposed to be started this last week. All of our accounting people have COVID, so it has been put back to starting on January the 31st. The motel, we have 13 rooms that we have not remodeled, and that is sort of hurting us as far as not getting the DPS, because they only use remodeled rooms. So we will start 3 rooms starting in January 31st. It will probably take us, based on our current occupancy, at least through the end of the summer to finish the last 13 rooms. I'm not sure how the golf committee, how the bathrooms are coming, not too well from what I understand. We'll work on that. Now, right now I'm currently working on getting bids on our tennis courts. We have 5 bids on redoing our 5 pool tables that we have. The asbestos, par 3, as you probably noticed, there are a few trees missing on the par 3s. I think we have 5 more Arizona ashes to cut out on the par 3s, but there are a lot of them around the fort. If anybody is interested in firewood, be my guest to go out and cut it. It only helps us out too. And a lot of it's been cut. And that's why we left the big stuff out there, to give everybody the opportunity to get the firewood. We had a town hall with Unit 1 this last week. It was interesting. I think a lot of good points were made. Not really anything we're not aware of, but at least we let them know where we are on getting some of the stuff done. And Concierge Plus, which will be our communications with all the membership, we are working on it. We've got the database, we're checking it again, and now we're starting to train people to work with it on our staff, and trying to get the people that can do that. And that will be the communications for the fort, you know, in the future, but it's just taking a while to get in. That's it.
A couple things from the budget versus actual. The hunt is a little off. Is that just availability of rooms, and we're?
Well, there is availability of rooms, but it's also because of the fact we had so much prepaid in the revenue that was put into last year's.
Sunk into last year's.
So
yeah.
actually, we're really quite a bit above.
Okay.
We could have done better, except for the fact that we do not have the rooms. Because the way the DPS is working, they're coming in on a Sunday and they're overlapping.
Mm-hmm.
So on one day, we don't have the rooms available.
Right.
So it doesn't give us that weekend, it's like we would like. But it's still much better than last year.
So the hunt program for this year is ahead of
Last year,
just we booked revenue to.
we booked a lot of advanced revenue for last year.
Okay. RV park, same situation where, you know, we kind of hurt ourselves with taking on the pipeliners, which is what we're trying to
But
prevent
this
with
is the
DPS.
first month that our RV park is actually doing better than last year.
Mhm.
So that tells you that's when the pipeliners left, was in November. And so now it's starting to pick up a little bit. So it's very small, it's about 5% more, but it actually shows some improvement.
Yeah, it sounds like they're putting together quite the program, which I think we'll hear more about later on, but they've got something going on many nights of the week, so take a look out there if you're lacking for something to do at night.
Where are you with the, what was the name of that company that we bought in?
Good, Sam?
Yeah, where are we with that? Are we in their
Yeah,
advertising
we're
now?
in there at,
We are now, okay.
Regarding the hunt, are we thinning out the herds or not fast enough?
We've killed over 110 so far, 110, 120 in that range. We need to get out around 300. Based on our projection, maybe around 200. So, but over a year, if we're hunting on the 400, we may get pretty close to it. And then we may be able to start tracking, you know, after the season's over.
Yeah, if we end the first part of the year, or you know, this hunting season at 66%, like that's pretty.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all, considering
And
that
we
we are.
haven't had good weather for hunting.
Right,
Right.
yeah. Any other questions for Mr. Peterson?
Has this been, the hunt numbers, is this based on any type of study, like a Parks and Wildlife game study that?
They come in and do an audit first of the year, and
Okay.
our biologist basically tells us, you know, what they feel like we need to get rid of. And they said our herd right now, to be healthy, we need to call out about 300. So that's how that's,
300 whitetail?
no, 300 overall. Mostly, I mean, they would much rather us get access out of it.
Right.
And one other point to be made on the hunt program and working with that group as well, Parks and Wildlife. You know, as we move forward, we're gonna have to be more creative around what we do, just based on what we have to offer here at the board. And, you know, Mr. Peterson and his staff put together some space where Texas Parks and Wildlife, when they're here and in the area, have a little bit of office space in the adult center. So those are the things that we're gonna have to continue to do to be creative, to bring people in, and just get the help that we need, like getting this survey done so we understand where we're at and so that we can build our programs. So, again, that's just one thing that, you know, there's no report for that, there's no metric for that, but it is something that is being done. Okay. We'll move on to the committee reports. I think maybe the airport one was mixed in
Was
with
mixed
the
in with
correspondence,
something,
yes, unless you have another one.
No.
Okay. Then we'll go on to architectural.
We do have a golf committee report.
Okay, well, we'll get there.
There was no one.
No architectural committee report, okay. Golf?
Anybody can go. Remodeling of the restrooms on the golf course is ongoing. The golf committee met this month and scheduled tournaments for 2022. Our biggest tournament is the Los Moras. It provides for scholarships and also benefits the golf course. We encourage supporting sponsorships for the tournament. It will be held March 18th through the 20th, 2022. Other tournaments include the Cajun Bash, April 23rd, Wandering Cat Fundraiser, May 4th, the Red, White, and Blue, July 2nd, Ladies Las Moras, October 15th, Kinney County Church Alliance, October 29th, the Couples, November 12th, the Turkey Shoot, November 26th, and the Kris Kringle, December 17th. We hope 2022 is a good year for everyone with lots of positive things to look forward to. Stay safe and well. Respectfully, Katie Brown.
One note there, I know that we had just heard that we would start remodeling some of the hotel rooms towards the end to March 15th and 20th.
Not then,
So the after that?
no, we'll be through with the 3.
Okay, we'll be through with the 3. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and say that that was good planning with everyone. So with the preservation?
I don't have any.
No?
We have.
Right here.
All right, perfect.
Prior to our regular meeting this month, the entire committee and Alan Peterson made an outside inspection of the service club due to extensive presence of rotten wood on various parts of the building. I'm going to add that I think everybody knows that this building gets rented out. We get a lot of rental income from this building, so it's the importance of keeping it weatherized and repaired is sort of important. During the regular meeting, Mr. Peterson gave a presentation on the need for asbestos remediation and HVAC work to be done on the adult center. Preservation will elect to postpone any exterior repainting until this work is complete. Preservation is pleased that Mr. Peterson confirmed to our treasurer current amount of money available for preservation work. Committee Treasurer Sharon Gregoric did a beautiful job on making and installing some antique-looking burlap curtains on the inside of the powder magazine windows. Respectfully submitted, H.N. Bitter. Anybody has any questions? I'm sorry, I'm rushing it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do very much enjoy having in-person reports versus them just being emailed in to the secretary. So if at all possible, when possible, I know we're still dealing with situations that don't allow people to come, but thank you for coming to address us.
Can I have one thing regarding the preservation? Myself and some of the other members of the historical committee went to the commissary and we fixed up that pulley. Or are in plans, or we're getting that, what do they call it?
Windlass.
Windlass.
The windlass?
Windlass,
Okay.
windlass, yeah.
And it's almost done, right? Okay. is done.
I think we need to give credit to
Yeah, I was
Warren.
about to say,
Yes.
Warren brought that up from
Yeah.
north.
You found the
North
parts
Country.
we've been looking for 10 years.
Right.
Go Warren.
Thank you.
I had a lot of help.
So, recycling,
Good morning.
good morning.
We shipped 40 boxes on Monday and 3 bales of plastic, so that's great. And thanks to Joe Alaknis for running the forklift and getting all those boxes out of here. Also for building new boxes, and that was also Joe and John Williams. We're still waiting for the check that we shipped cardboard in December. So that should be a real, a good amount of money since we don't have to pay the truck. So that's great. That's all. Any questions or thoughts?
Ms. McBride, do we have enough volunteers, or do you need more volunteers?
I always need more.
Okay.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, it's, you know, very helpful to have the Winter Texans also here, so, anyway.
Helena, thank you for taking on community council.
Right, you're welcome. Then the Las Morris project for the swimming pool. I have a small report from Chris Hale, our chair. He says, the combination of Christmas season and very busy workers have gotten in the way of much progress, but there are some achievements to report. The light pole that stood in the portion of the sidewalk that was replaced last summer has been repainted and put back up with its new wiring. The welder fabricated the pieces for the repair work at the inlet, and now he just needs to find time to make the repairs. We have the money to pay for this work, some of which has been recently raised from sales of raffle tickets. If you already haven't purchased some tickets for yourself and all your family and friends, please see Linda O'Brien, Angela Hahn, or D&D Hardware. We're awaiting a bid from the cement contractor for the next phase of the sidewalk repair. But he's certainly also a busy worker for a little while.
He and Tim were down there yesterday measuring everything out, so they should be soon.
Oh, that's great. All right, that's it.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Okay, election committee?
We'll defer to the agenda item
Okay,
for the drawing today.
okay. We did have one review of the document that you provided on the procedures. There was a note at the very end. If there were any issues, I know in the past, like maybe the number gets off and we have to recount, and by the time that all happens, if the post office is closed. So over the last week, I've been in contact with the city and the county as they have been preparing for their elections as well. And they have spoken with the sheriff's department to perform the same task that you were providing for in your last note. So if you would contact the sheriff's department versus security, as we do have members that are on the security force as well. And so that you would just be putting ballots in a member's hands versus using the deputy sheriff. And they're very familiar with that task.
Right. Well, historically, that's not happened before. We've never had a problem with locking it up in security. But I can contact them. You're talking about if we don't get them out that day.
Yes.
Okay, did they tell you how they're working that out? Whether we have to take them to the sheriff's department or, I'm sorry, but past history says that our local sheriff's department is sometimes not that reliable when they promise us things, so.
Isn't the school involved in this too?
The school is involved in this as well. So the school is actually, the elections that are coming up will be a combination of city, school, and county elections all at the same time. So, I mean, yes, if that's the history, okay. History around here isn't the best thing to look at when we're going forward.
Well, the
So-
history is with Matt, and frankly, I trust Matt. We've not had a problem before, and actually, since I've been involved either in the board or the election committee, it's never been delayed, and we've not had to lock them up.
Mhm.
So we've locked them up after we do the pre-sorting and for the actual mailing date, but we've not had to worry about the post office.
Right, and I don't think that it'll be a concern. It just does leave us open to some sort of contest to the election if we do put them in a member's hands. And I know that that argument could be made.
Okay, historically it hasn't, but I understand what you're saying, and I can't, is there a particular person at the sheriff's department?
I will
contact?
get you a contact info.
Okay, because I would rather do that than to go over there and have them tell me
Absolutely.
that they have no idea what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about.
I'll take care of that for you.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Okay. The bylaws committee will provide an update in the tabled items, also addressing the correspondence that came in as well. So we'll, community council report?
Somebody's purse is ringing.
Yes.
That's my standard. Good morning. First of all, I would like to reiterate again, when we send our members' comments and concerns, we started doing this last month because we thought it extremely unfair to present the board with our comments and concerns on the day that we meet. So we are getting it, I give it to Mr. Mumi, the Monday right after we met, and he gives it to the board so they are aware of our concerns and comments. It's basically a very vague report, just so that they can look at it. And then I have the board comments here, and then our true minutes are on our website. And they will be published on our website tomorrow because we just had them approved by our board yesterday. Okay, that being said, the membership, and also I do write the members' comments, okay, because everybody's busy, and if there's an error or mistake, it's mine, but they did all kind of peruse them and looked at them, okay? A short synopsis again of our minutes. Fort Clark Days, still looking for donors as we are a little bit behind in funding. We have all the chairs filled. We will have camels, artillery, vendors, lip and dancers, living historians, and music. The commissary and Seminole will have vendors. First time in the commissary for a long time. We have over 50 volunteers and things are coming along nicely. The next meeting for Fort Clark Days is Wednesday, January 19th at the Adult Center at 6 o'clock. The annual adult audit. The annual audit was reported and it was positive. That is something we have to do every January. That is also posted on our website. The board elections. Natanya Watkinson, president, is not seeking another term. Tiana Johnson, secretary, is not seeking another term. Voted in are Helena McBride as president and Frances Bitter as treasurer. The form for the board candidates. The rules were read and they will be given to the dispatch for posting along with the date, the time, and the place. The 3 nominees will be contacted with the form details. The 3 candidates are Robert Mumi, Lisa Vale, and Chris Race. Members' comments. The possibilities of establishing a community vegetable garden and members raising chickens and rabbits. This would be a way to get people involved and be a source of healthy food. Discussion on what animals would be allowed and where the garden would be. A very lengthy discussion followed with many ideas. A report on this topic has been sent to the Fort Clark Springs Association Board, which is the one I sent to you. And the windlass at the commissary is being worked on with the joint venture of Historical Society and the Preservation Committee. It may be functional, and I hope it will be functional before Fort Clark Days, so we could show it to the kids how they worked back in the old days when you had to do something by hand. All lot-only members are members of Fort Clark Springs Community Council, come to our meetings and hear about what we are doing. The next meeting is February 12th, 2022 at 10 a.m. at the Post Theater. We will have a short meeting following with the candidates forum. That's all I have. It was a very short meeting. We actually didn't say much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tell them about the cannons.
Oh, the cannons. Oh, Jan, I didn't want to put that in there. Okay, this is not a lengthy discussion, but this was a matter of concern. I should have put it in the concern and comments. Yes, we are having cannons. I believe we're going to have 6. See that? 6 cannons.
Wow.
And it was relayed to us that these cannons will not be shooting across the highway because we don't want to upset Burger and Shake. So they are going to be shooting parallel to the creek, all right? And it will be another safe one, but maybe Bracketville won't be upset with us anymore. Is that good enough, Jan? Okay, thank you.
You pointed in the right direction.
Thank you. So we'll get to the rules or we'll go to the tabled items, old and unfinished business, rules and regulations. So we're waiting to work through the rules and regulations on the barking dogs, because if we put in the noise ordinance, you won't be able to use the cannons, so we're going to wait until after. Actually, with the rules and regulations, we got a little bit of disappointing news from our attorney late this week. So, as you're aware, the documents kind of work in a waterfall type of scenario, and it starts out with your declaration, moves to your bylaws, and then moves into your rules and regulations. The way that these different documents are changed is based on how they're perceived under the Texas Property Code. So, in 2017, you had an election, and there were some changes made to the way that our documents were put together based on a change that was made in the property code. We didn't exactly get it done properly, and now we're in kind of a situation where we're stuck. You received approximately 800 votes back each election cycle, and the way that the property code is written currently, if you are silent in your declaration on the voting percentage of lot-owning members, then you default to 66.7%. To change anything in a document that is designated as a dedicatory instrument. Well, up until this board removed the dedicatory status from the rules and regulations, that document also fell within that regulation. That was done through a resolution, which we've had many discussions here during our meetings on what the use of resolutions are. And that, I don't know what the thought process was originally to make the rules and regulations a dedicatory instrument, but a resolution is to be used by the board for things that over time may change, and we may need to adjust with the times. And so it gives a mechanism where the membership will be notified, because obviously we have to do it in open session and we have to talk about it, and there has to be an agenda item, and there's notice given in order for that to be changed. So it worked, right? So you know that we've now removed the dedicatory status of the rules and regulations, but prior to making any changes to that, and I do appreciate all the work that has been done by all the different committees all the way back to 2006 and prior to that, we don't want to act in a way that would put us in the situation that we're in now. Unfortunately, the news that we got this week is I don't know how we're going to unwind what was done in 2017, because now we're beyond the time frame which would allow us to go back and act on anything that was done incorrectly in 2017. We have a big problem. We cannot change our bylaws or our dedicatory instruments without 66.7% of the vote, because we're silent in our declaration, because we're silent as to the percentage of lot owning members, because when we made the changes in 2017, we actually put in the provision as voting members. Well, we're silent on lot owning members. We put in a number for voting members, which voting members would be the number of votes that you receive back. So we're in a very interesting situation where we can't change 2 of our 3 documents that govern this community until we find some sort of resolution, because we don't even get back the number of affirmative votes that we would need to make a change. So we're in a little bit of a pickle. So I will ask for a bit more patience on changing these documents, as you can see, it has a long-lasting effect, and so we can't make these changes lightly. And I understand people want dogs to stop barking, and we want to get dogs on leashes, and we want to make sure that we're providing the rules that make this a safe and a safe community that we can all live in happily. But we have to be pretty precise when we're going through these documents, and we'll continue to work there to get that done. So, I don't know if there's any other comments from the board or any questions from the membership. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Travis, do we know the parts of the property code that we need to address in any of those documents?
The pieces of the property code that need to be addressed to make the changes?
Yeah.
Yes, I've presented those to community council and to the board in the past, but yes, I do have a presentation.
So couldn't we just sit down and take those and make sure we're in the right ballpark with any of our dedicatory
Yeah, I can't say it either.
That's a mouthful, I'd say. But, because we can't just say, oh gee, so I guess I want to start moving and do something.
So what we have been doing is working with our HOA attorney who, has gone through the property code. We've told them where we think we have an issue versus the property code.
Right.
And our first solution was, we thought that because of the way that the process was done, that there would be a way for us to openly work through a change in what was done in the past. And that's the bad news that we got late this week, was that that's not possible because we're already beyond like the 4-year part of that being done. So now it's, what is the next step? Because unfortunately at this point, we're just stuck.
Right. But that's not forever, I mean.
Oh, it is forever, that's what I'm saying. When you make these changes, it is forever. So if there's a suggestion on how we can change you can make a change. You need 66.7% of the lot owning members to vote to make a change. So we're not, in theory, stuck forever.
Yeah.
You just have to get 66.7% of the lot owning members to make any sort of change.
And how many? How big a number is that?
1,200.
1,200?
1,200. And you receive, 800 votes. So.
The only way to really do it will be to really do a concerted effort
To get people to
to
vote.
recruit voting with
Yeah.
prepaid return vote envelopes,
Yeah.
phone calls.
Yeah, so there is going to have to be a large campaign to make any changes.
Well, I mean, we are gonna be sending out the election votes for the candidates. So could we use that mail out to get that right to change?
I-
You
Can you
know,
get
a
it?
couple of statements
You
on
can't do
the,
it right in this.
Not enough time.
Yeah, you don't have enough time to do this
Separate
right.
election.
I mean, I mean, I think that it would be worth a separate, special, consideration and election, and that, but unfortunately, and I think that that's where the attorney's gonna come back to us and say, look, your only chance of doing this is to have a campaign to make these changes, and, what I would focus on in this is a deeper discussion that we need to have. I mean, the proper percentage, if you wanted to reach a majority of people who actually return your votes, is somewhere closer to mid-30 percentile. So that would be the push, but that's something that we're all gonna have to decide on, because you can't send out, it has to be a change that is sent out precisely, and that wordage, and that verbiage has to go into the declaration.
There was a suggestion, if we do it electronically here on the fort, if we could educate people.
So unfortunately, in order to do it electronically, you have to
Have a vote.
you have to have that language in your declaration. So unfortunately, it's,
Well, a lot of people don't have computers.
right. But we do need to move to an area where you can vote electronically if you opt in. But again, that's something that has to be changed in your declaration. You have to allow for it in your declaration, which you would need 66.7% of the 1,200 to do that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the previous board members or board had a statement on a vote that if it was not returned, it was assumed yes.
So that does not sound as though, I mean, while that is creative, that is very creative, I don't believe that one will fly. Yes, ma'am.
One of the other issues is, does the fort-owned properties have a vote?
And these are all things that we have to unwind before, and we have to tell everyone, right? I mean, that may change a lot. If the fort owned, I mean, but then who do those become board votes? Do those become, so yes, while we want to move quickly to, this has been a long process to even get to where we're at, to understand, where we're at, and we'll continue to unwind it as we go. So. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I wanted to remind everybody that the changes in 2017 were done under the auspices of an HOA attorney.
Yes.
The board did not rewrite that.
Yes.
We sent it to an attorney and spent a considerable sum to make sure it fell within the property codes before it was taken care of, before it was written out. So I wanted everybody to know that the board did not rewrite that, our attorney did. And as far as the not turning in a vote is a vote of yes or no regardless, that was shot down in about 5 seconds by more than one attorney on that.
No, I think that.
But I just want to clarify that the board did not do the language for that declaration change. We followed precisely the guidance from our attorney.
Which is not the same attorney we're using.
No, it's a different.
Just to be clear. Just to be clear.
He's just great work.
So I know that was a lot. Any other questions or comments?
Can we go back on that attorney?
We'll get there, but I doubt it. So if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the next item. We do have quite a few things to. Okay. So lease for the wastewater treatment plant. The city has been contacted. Again, it may not be clear, but there are 3 parties to the wastewater treatment plant lease. One is the fort, who has either deeded or leased property. There's also the municipal utility district, and then the city who operates the plant. So there are several parties that have to come together to make this happen, and they're currently reviewing. The Fort Board many times has taken on finding the documents that cannot be found by these 2 other entities, which the Fort, do you remember how far back that goes? At least to the 80s, has provided the space for the wastewater treatment plant for Kenny County. So we're doing our part to make this work, and we've actually compiled all the documents from the early 90s through this last year, so that we can get a real timeline and understand whose responsibilities need to be looked at and who would be signing leases. So we're still working through that one as well. Any questions on that? Reinstating revenue and taps, I think this is just something that's on our list that we'd like to do, but we've had many projects between that. So we may look at removing that and putting that on a maybe future item, but we'll leave it for now. Capital budget resolutions, that's something that you'll see pieces of here in the agenda items. You know, the discussion we had last was that this wasn't something that needed to necessarily be put in as an actual resolution, but for now we'll leave it there just while we're looking through these, unless we have any other thoughts on that. So the last discussion item, or last tabled item, was a discussion item from last time, and I see it says solar eclipse chain, and that's my fault. I should have said solar eclipse chairperson. So, no, that's my fault.
But now.
So,
He's changing the line.
yeah, no foreshadowing here on what we're doing. So, I think what I wanted to discuss with the board and any of the membership that has thoughts on this is that, so we have two kind of things, or there's three important things that I think we need to address, and we have the opportunity as the fort to be the lead for the county and the city if we organize first. You know, the city has many things that they're working through. You know, I think in the next 6 months, they're going to be pretty tied up in getting through their audit, you know, to get back to the status where they can receive grants and state funding. The county obviously has all of the issues that you see as you run up and down Highway 90. Probably not something that's on the forefront of their thought process. So it's in 2024, April 2024. If we were to organize, and I think the proper way for us to start is to find a chairperson that would help coordinate that effort. There are meetings ongoing. In fact, there's one on Tuesday with the surrounding counties, which I've been participating in. But as you can see, we have a lot that we're working on as well, so we need to get that in someone's capable hands. So I was hoping that maybe in executive session or over the next couple of weeks, we can put together some criteria of something, you know, of a chairperson with some experience. Thought behind that is in maybe event planning or large festival planning. We could start looking for that person. That's kind of where we want to go there. Any questions or comments from the membership? Alright, well then, I will send out an email and we'll start tossing that around to put together some qualifications and find someone. We'll obviously include Mr. Peterson and anyone that he seems to think would be necessary enough. So, agenda item number 1, the election committee, drawn for ballots and positions.
Lisa's brother was supposed to come in to draw for
I believe the way that we did it last year, anyone who was present or had a representative would draw, and then the person who, if they weren't available, they would, whatever spot was not drawn would be their spot. Do we have a representative for Lisa Vale?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where is he?
Right here.
There he is. Okay. All I knew is she said he had a beard. Okay, we're gonna just do this similarly, because playing cards don't lie. First of all, I'd like to thank the election committee for meeting, helping put this together, and for some groundwork from last elections committee. It made it a lot easier this year because we had something to work with. We now have a binder that we can pass on from election committee to election committee. But I'd like to thank Ann Barron, Ann, Frances Bitter, Barbara McFadden, Anna Martinez, she here? And Constance Kilgore, who is our alternate. Would those people stand up who are here, please, and please thank them because they're just doing a really good job. Okay, we did have 3 candidates, and I know it was frustrating in the past when I had to draw and there was only 1 card left on the table and I had no choice. So there are 6 cards, 3 people, ace through 6, and so even the last person, the 3rd person to draw gets to make a choice, and then we'll just take, the lowest number is first on the ballot, 2nd, 3rd, okay? So what we're going to have you do is draw in the order in which you turned in your candidate data sheets. And may I remind you also, Lisa, who couldn't be here, she's not well. She says allergies, so I felt sorry for her because she sounded terrible on the phone. That you drop your off, Lisa has emailed me her bio, resume, whatever you want to call it. And so Chris and Robert, I'll need yours today.
I already did yours. I already sent it to you.
You did? When?
I did, the same day you said my picture was great.
Oh, I didn't see an attachment.
It was attached.
Okay, I'll go back and look and see. It could have been just, I missed it. I'll definitely look. Okay. All right, turning their data sheet in on November 8th was Chris Race. Chris, you get the first choice.
Cool.
Okay, I'll look again. Okay, just keep it, hold it in your hand and stand over there toward Bob, Robert, or here, wherever you're comfortable.
I don't care.
Okay, for Lisa Vale. This is Curtis Benham. Okay. Turned hers in on November 16th. Okay, and lastly, Robert Lummy turned his on December 6th. Okay. What do you have, Robert?
Ace of spades.
Oh, your number.
That's the death card, you know.
Well, I just picked the first ace that came out of the deck. I didn't actually look at the suits. Okay, so you will be first on the ballot. Okay? Okay. Number 2. Okay, Chris, you're number 2 on the ballot. And of course, that will automatically make Lisa number 3.
Charlie.
Okay.
That's been the last time she asked me to represent her.
So being sick, she doesn't want the ace of spades.
She's just losing her voice.
Who else do you want this resent to?
I
got your name in
No,
there.
that's okay, just take care of it, thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't see your attachment.
It was on there, same place as the picture.
Well, like I said, all I can do is apologize.
I am.
Okay, so this is going to be the ballot order. We'll give the copies of all these, and Mr. Peterson here will help us put the ballots together and the resumes together and all the envelopes, and we'll get those all ordered for the next step, which will be,
Who gets to draw the little circles?
just put a line there.
Can I make a statement, please? Last year while I was sick, I was working with Stephen Fox to make sure everything went well for the election committee, because that's the secretary's job when they're not running. And I felt so bad for the election committee because all of these committees, you know, recycling or preservation, they're all volunteers. The board itself is all voluntary. And Mr. Fox caught so much grief because the stupid circles next to write-in candidates